nigga's got a tiger. What's up, guys? This is Courtney, one half of the brothers Deconstruction here, and I'm bringing you my super late review for Meteor Man. This is the film that I was talking about before that I grew up with, so I hold it very dearly to my heart because I remember it from my childhood, and I want to do a super late review for it. Now, I've already recorded a review for Meteor Man, but it turned out long as usual, so I wanted to trim it down a bit. I found myself going over my notes and really going over every single note that I wrote, but then it just turned into me talking about a bunch of random nitpicks or other inconsistencies, which I'll do a better job of in this new review that I've recorded. But Meteor Man came out in 1993. It was written and directed by Robert Townsend, who stars in the film as Meteor Man. And this has a who's who of black actors in the cast. You have everyone from Marla Gibbs, you have Cypress Hill, Naughty by Nature, Bill Cosby, and probably an amazing cameo, I guess you can say. It's a very small role, but it's not quite a cameo, but he plays a mute character that doesn't really have any lines, of course, yet he finds a way to bark. Yeah, that's just one of the many inconsistencies with the movie. It's a very long list of well-known black actors. Eddie Griffin, I can keep going on and on. So going back and watching Meteor Man, one of the earliest memories I have of this film is when the meteor is actually in orbit and comes down and strikes Robert Townsend's character, Jeff, in the chest. I was absolutely terrified at that moment. Even though the effects are bad now, before just thinking about it and the burn effects, it scared me to even think about it. And I would always cover my eyes whenever I watched the film because he gets hit in the chest, he absorbs the meteorite or pieces, what's left of the meteorite that's embedded in his chest, and he has these burns, this burn makeup on his face, and he's like convulsing up against the wall because he's in the alley up against a dead end and it's a brick wall. That image just kind of scared the shit out of me. That was one of my earliest memories going back to the film. Now, overall, I realized why my previously recorded review was so long because there's a lot to discuss about this film, but I'm going to do my best to do it in under 15 minutes. Hopefully this will turn out to be around 10. This movie was one of the many movies in like the 90s that Robert Townsend produced through his Tinsel Townsend production company. Robert Townsend used to have his own movie studio, just like Tyler Perry does now. It's interesting that he was kind of the Tyler Perry before Tyler Perry came along. Overall, there are a lot of inconsistencies with the film. It's an enjoyable film and I remember it fondly simply because it's from my childhood, but going back and watching it, you can tell that there are a lot of issues going on with the production or just with the film in general. Inconsistencies with Meteor Man's powers, because at one point he gets super speed when it's super convenient for him to have super speed, yet earlier in the film you were wondering why he didn't have super speed in a time like this when he could have used it earlier. Different like subplots that apparently were dropped, and I found this out reading the IMDb trivia page that there were a lot of rewrites during production of the film. So that's why when it comes to inconsistencies in the film, that's why they're there, because they were doing rewrites while they were filming the movie, and there were certain things in the script that weren't actually filmed for the movie. Now, a lot of the dialogue is cheesy and clunky. I do think that it gives the movie a bit of charm, a bit of corny charm, but overall, there was a lot of weird dialogue choices. And then again, even like some other nitpicky stuff. There's a lot of bad ADR. There's times where in scenes there are groups of people that are supposed to be like whispering or talking amongst themselves. And you can kind of clearly hear sentences. and it clearly sounds like that it's not, that it's coming from a separate recording. I don't know. It's really, really weird. The first 45 minutes of the film seem aimless. When Jeff realizes he has powers, the neighborhood kind of turns him into the neighborhood superhero because his neighborhood is crime ridden. It has gang problems, drug problems, and then the Golden Lords, which are the big gang, even though they have the Bloods and the Crips represented in the film as well. The Golden Lords are the big gang of the neighborhood. It doesn't really seem like there's a direction that it's going in. And then the last 15 minutes of the film is a fight between the Golden Lord leader Simon and Jeff. The choreography isn't good, but there are really entertaining moments where one of Meteor Man's powers is he can touch a book, and for 30 seconds he knows all the information in that book. He gets thrown. The Golden Lords bring like trucks to block off the street, and when they battle in the midst of like this giant battle happening, Simon and Jeff both grab the remaining piece of meteorite that Bill Cosby characters has, and then they each get powers. Simon throws Jeff through a book truck, and throws him through the truck. A bunch of books fly out the back with him, and he touches a book as he's getting up, and it just so happens to be Bruce Lee's fighting method, which I have the art of Jeet Kune Do. So it was really interesting, and Bruce Lee's fighting method was a book that I was looking into getting when I bought the art of Jeet Kune Do. So I thought that was really a cool moment. But he touches it, and for 30 seconds, he just whoops everybody's ass because he instantly knows how to fight like Bruce Lee. But there's a comical moment where they touch like a modeling book. Jeff grabs it and then throws it to Simon, and they both have a vogue off. And that was pretty comical. Other than that, the fight isn't really impressive. And then like the international criminals that Simon meets with, they come in and they're getting ready to take Jeff out. But that's when the actual Bloods and Crips actually show up, and then those bad guys try to leave and the cops corner them. So I didn't like how the movie was ended in that way. But first 45 minutes are kind of aimless, and then we kind of get into Jeff doing superhero activities. But in all of this, I do think that the movie itself brings or poses a very interesting moral question. What if somebody that was in a neighborhood like this, or not just a neighborhood, you can kind of apply this to Superman and the world. What if somebody gained these powers? Are they now obligated to protect everyone, or do they still have a right to choose whether or not they actually want to use their powers? Because the neighborhood just kind of makes him the neighborhood superhero. They say, hey, because his father gets into it with the Golden Lords, and then they come and attack them. He stops them very, very impressively. And then the neighborhood at the community center, people on that particular block, they all say, we think you should patrol 3 times a week, do this, do that. And then later on, when they throw on like a small little celebration at the community center, they say you should go protect our relatives that we have in other cities. So they're basically forcing him, to his dismay, to protect the community, and then they're volunteering him to go out and go protect and patrol other cities. So is he obligated to do that, or does he still have a right to choose? Because he didn't ask for these powers. He doesn't want to be Meteor Man, which is the name that his mom comes up with. But he kind of does it because he's a good person and he wants to make his neighborhood and his community better. So I do like the message and then the question that the movie poses and raises. But I think it could have been executed a little bit better. Now, because of the times, a lot of the effects don't hold up. There's really noticeable like green screen key framing effects, and then even some of the CG, like the CG with the meteor in his chest being absorbed. That's pretty bad. But again, this movie came out in 1993, and I don't want to bash the film because, as I said, it does have a really, really good message. There's even a scene where he goes to an abandoned lot with tall grass and abandoned cars in it. He cleans it up and turns it into a garden that the community can come in and grab vegetables and fruits. So again, I think overall the movie has a really, really good message, especially for the time. I just think it could have been executed a little bit better. Now, I would be interested to see how a remake could be done if it were updated for current times, especially with everything that's going on. And I don't specifically mean with the COVID-19 virus. I just mean in general with gang violence and just how would that be able to be updated to be more modern. So I will be interested to see a possible remake of this film. Now I don't know if news of one has been floating around. I'm very very unsure, and I know how people in the film community in general don't really like remakes. They want more original content, but I do think that this would be a prime movie to kind of do a remake with because it has a really, really good positive message, especially with superhero films being as big as they are right now. I don't think the bubble has burst yet. I don't think it's really all that close to bursting. So I think somebody coming in and doing a Meteor Man remake as a black superhero talking about, making essentially the world a better place, but starting with, one single community is kind of like Spider-Man. Spider-Man, he's called the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for a reason because he protects the city, but he basically fights for the little guy. So this would essentially be that. This movie was based in Baltimore. There's a moment where the Golden Lords are chasing Jeff, and he flies for the first time and lands on a light post, and he's looking into this apartment because he's scared of heights. It's funny. A superhero that can fly, yet he's scared of heights. And he's gripping for dear life on this light pole, and he looks up and he's staring into this apartment, this open window, and this woman is getting dressed in the window. And she starts screaming. Her boyfriend comes out, and he comes out with like a baseball bat. He's like, "I'm gonna get you, you pervert." People from Baltimore have a really weird accent, but I think that guy was from Baltimore because the way that he said pervert, it was a really long draw on the sound.
You come back, I'll be waiting for you, you pervert!
And I was like, okay, that dude is from Baltimore. That's just a sidetrack. That's my review of Meteor Man. Hopefully it's much shorter than the one I recorded before. Again, I think it's an entertaining movie. I just think there are parts of it that could have been better. And overall, the execution wasn't quite there, but it's understandable with the information that we know that there were rewrites. But overall, I still say it deserves a watch simply because of the overall message of the movie. I say if you get the chance to check it out, go ahead and do so. And going back and watching it with adult eyes, I still think it's overall a fine movie. There's a lot of fun cameos, and this film is funny in parts. And it's, like I said, it's overall entertaining. I just think it's missing some stuff, and that's obvious once you actually sit down and watch it. So be on the lookout, guys, for the other videos. I just put up my Spider-Man 3 Super Late review, so go check that out. Thanks for watching this video. As always, I appreciate the support, whether it's 1, 5, 10, or 100 views, and I'll be catching up with you guys later.